Hello, I know you can't really see me. So this is Kim and Jason. I did my apprenticeship with them from 2015 to 2016 with an organization where we kind of did ministry um, here in the Bay Area. So yeah, it was almost like I was like doing urban missions work. So well, not almost. That's what I was doing. So yes, I was doing urban missions work with them, and they are here to answer the questions. They know that we have 30 minutes to talk over these questions and discuss them. So yeah, here we will go to the first one. First one says, "What do you believe are my greatest strengths?"
Well, I want to say that one of the things I appreciate about you the most that I've told you before is just how you take in information from observing. You don't have to have people actually say it to you, and that you can figure things out just by watching and paying attention. And so I think that's a huge strength because I have pretty much none of that. And even in things I've been in lately, I just see how I just have to be told things and how. So, anyways, I really liked having you being on a team with you because you could just observe and then I could like go oh and then ask more questions or things like that. So I think that's really a strong thing that you have. That you were dependable. That I could always know that like if I give you things to do, you're gonna do it. Um, and if there was some problem or something, you'd always come back. And so I think that's just a huge thing. And that sometimes people think there's more like spiritual things to do or whatever, but how like dependability I think is so huge. So you were dependable and you would always follow through with things, and so I think that's another just a huge strength that you have too. um,
Yeah, and with that dependability, is you go after things. So like you're not just going to sit around and twiddle your thumbs. You're kind of a starter. You go after things and look for ways to get involved and before being asked or something like that. That's good.
Thank you. And then question number two. If you could describe me in one word or with one image, what would that be and why?
I drew a picture of eyes because what I just said, just like that, you observe, and so it's just nice not to have to um, I think like say everything to you, that I know that you're going to observe some things and figure things out on your own. So it's my
That's good. Eyes. Yeah. One word. Yeah. Eyes is good.
You said sandwich earlier.
Sandwich. That's just the first thing that came to mind.
So eyes, and then he said sandwiches
Well,
because
I
they
don't
have
have a
many
reason.
layers.
Many layers.
That was funny. Yeah. So eyes, I like that. That's pretty cool. The last person I interviewed
That
said
is
a
cool.
coconut.
What's that mean?
She said it seems because I'm so serious on the outside and hard, like it seems like, but when you get to know me, she's like, wow, you're so soft. And she and I was like, all right, cool.
No, I agree that eyes is better than coconut sandwich because you are really good at taking things in and you're not quick to talk. Just jump to things. That's good.
All right, and then question number three. Please share a story of a time when you saw me demonstrate growth and spiritual maturity.
I feel like I just keep like all mine are kind of around the same thing that I keep thinking about, but that I just remember a time where Ashley and two others had the same position, and so but I gave all three of them things to do, and so Ashley just did it immediately. So it's on a Friday that they got the assignment. Monday it's done. But especially one of the other people hadn't done it, and then Wednesday same thing, hadn't done it, and then Friday same thing, hadn't done it. And so then by Friday it's like been a week, and so I just was just like just directive, like why is it not done? What is going on? It needs to be done. Can you get it done today? Um, oh yeah, no problem, no problem. With this other person, and then and I said, well, if you can't, then let me know. But I just kind of like was more forceful and more firm, direct than I usually am. And so then I left, and then just I think I saw just a lot of spiritual maturity in you when she turned and was like, why is she on my case? And you said, well, she gave it to you to do, and you didn't do it. And I just think that shows some spiritual maturity and not, especially because you all had the same position, like just of like siding with her and just saying, just I'm gonna stay out of it. It's easier to stay out of it, but instead saying I can have a good influence in her life by saying no, actually you didn't do it, and that's important for you to do it. And so kind of also speaks to like your dependability too, that not only are you dependable, but like kind of pulling in your peers too of like how can I help them do what we need to do. And so I think the not because I mean like that's the time too you could just like participate in gossip like yeah that was crazy and you didn't, and so I just think I just respected like I already respected you a lot, but that was one of those times I was just like my respect for you grew, and just appreciation in like your partnership in ministry too.
I forgot all about that.
I was like, it was so nice to have you. I mean, not like comparing because like you, like all three of you are at different places and different. I mean, you're older than the other two. I mean, there's just different things like that. But it was just so nice to have like, okay, I know Ashley will do it, and so it was really wonderful. And the other two had other like strengths that they had,
Mhm.
That was one that I needed then.
I think when I think of Ashley's spiritual maturity, I think about how you seek after God's direction. And you look for just a real clear word from God and where He's going to have you go. And then you go after that hard. And you're focused. And you just kind of, I'm going to get there and God's going to open doors. I might not know how it's going to happen, but this is where I'm going. And it might not make sense sometimes, but then you just have a faith that He's going to open those doors because you sought Him and He gave you direction.
Thank you. That was actually a good reminder too.
I gotta go home too.
Yeah. Thank you. No, that was really refreshing.
Okay, there's another one that let me think first, since I don't know who's on the other side of this video. But spiritual maturity. I think there was a situation where you stuck to what you knew was right, like biblically, and just you stuck to what was right instead of what even especially one person around was saying like, oh, it's no big deal, oh, it's fine, and just you held the line with what you were like, no, this is right, and this is what I'm gonna do, kind of in the realm of dating.
Oh yeah, I forgot about it.
You just I think it was just a lot of spiritual maturity of, yeah, this would be fun, or this is right and this is God's best for me, and you went with like this is right and this is God's best for me, and to watch you in the kind of aftermath of all of that, and just how you were still, I want the best for this person, for this guy, and I'm still not turning it back on God. Like I'm sad, I'm hurt, but I'm also not gonna like. I'm gonna draw closer to God instead of like walk away. So, or do other things that will like make me feel better.
Yeah.
Like people do all kinds of things to just distract themselves, and you didn't. So.
Thank you.
All flashes from the past.
Yeah, I was like, forgot about that too. Yeah. I think that's where I did a lot of growing. That helped me remember like who God was and trust Him more in all, like in everything that I do. Like as you were saying, hearing from God, it just made me like, it confirmed that what I was hearing from God was from Him, even though the people around me were saying different things. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that too. I remember that.
That was, yeah.
Yep.
All right. Question number 4. What are some areas you would recommend that I focus on in order to be better prepared for ministry?
Let me go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me project what I'm feeling for myself on you, but and why I think it'd be good for you. But I think, and I have no idea how much training you have in counseling, but because of your eyes and the way you listen and the way you seek the Lord for direction, I think you would do a good job at counseling people spiritually and or doing Christian counseling and helping people kind of figure out things that are weighing them down and give them direction. So I think if you haven't had much training with counseling, I think that I could see you doing a real ministry of counseling with people, and maybe there's always more training and counseling to be done. But I've felt that way before for myself, but I think you'd be a better counselor than me. So, because you're better at listening than me, probably.
I thought about this one for a while, and I was like, I know I should say something because it would really help you, but I just couldn't think of anything. So I think counseling is a good idea.
She's got the eyes.
No, that's true.
Wish I
And
had
then,
yours too.
and then you're like foundation too, like scriptural foundation.
Yeah.
And so I think those two, especially coupled together, I've seen just recently, like some people that really focus on the like counseling part of stuff, but it's not really rooted in scripture as much, or people that are really like Bible people, but there's no like compassion for people in the. It's just almost like, well, it says this, you just need to do it, instead of like kind of looking at like, why are you not doing it? What's your struggle? What's your like your pain, your history, your childhood, your whatever other things. So
Okay. What was, and this one's not on the paper, but like when I was like, when I was working for you guys, what was something that was kind of like, oh, a weakness or something that you were like, oh, that's something you probably should look into working on more as a person or as a Christian or as potentially a leader of something later in life?
I feel like a blackout weakness.
This was a random question. I just
Harder to
curveball.
remember.
I feel kind of the same. I'm like, I just don't know.
It's hard to remember.
If you guys can't think of anything,
I'm sure there are things that, but I don't.
we can move on to number 5. It says, what is one word of advice that you can give me to help my calling?
This is kind of just in general, but just kind of us thinking just like what you enjoy and what people affirm in you, kind of those two. Because sometimes people really enjoy things, you might really enjoy something, but from kind of like listening to people around you, they're like, oh, that's not it, you know. Or there's things that people say you're really good at and you can do it, but you're like, oh, I don't really like doing that. So I think just kind of having those two pieces, and to have people around you that know you well enough that can say what you're good at, or like things like that, or reflect back to you of like, you seem to really enjoy that. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I can think of anything to add.
I think too, I think something that you've done well is how you had, like when we first talked to you, you, like everything, like you're doing all these amazing things, and then you're like, nope, I'm gonna go into ministry. And so you just left everything to move to California and just do ministry, and just taking a job that was definitely like beneath you to just have experience in it. And so I think that is also really a great thing to keep doing, is just like, it doesn't really make sense, but I'm gonna do this, and to keep pursuing it. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't, maybe it's the same thing you said. I can't remember what you said, but I think it's really important that sometimes you might feel like kind of pulling back away from others to get rest. I think it's really important to be around, to get encouragement from other people with a similar calling and be sharpened by other people with a similar calling. I think that's really important to grow and be connected, and for health too, and just to make sure you've got a real strong plan, but then to have other people that can challenge that too, and kind of hone it. Not that they're going to maybe redirect you, or maybe they do, but I think make it sharper and more on course even than it was before.
So a community aspect.
Community,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Network of encouragers too.
Well, that's good to know. That is something that I need to work on.
Me too. Projecting again.
I am an introvert all the way. So yeah, I
Yeah.
do need to remember that, because I do isolate myself sometimes, and I'm like, I need to, like, there's too many people around. So yeah, that's good to remember.
Easy to do.
Thank you guys for that. And that was number 5, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Number 6. In what roles or contexts do you believe I would serve best?
Well, again, I think that one-on-one aspect of counseling fits you really well. I think you're compassionate. You just have a lot of the traits that I would think would make a good counselor. Um, yeah, you put things together that aren't as easy to see always for right away.
Yeah.
Teaching. I just remember when you
Mm.
taught for our summer training. Oh my gosh, it was so good because you're just the way that you presented. I think maybe it's to like the group of hosts that we had or whatever, but just like you connected really well with them. You didn't come on so strong that it kind of scared them, but you like said everything understood good. So I don't know where else to do those kinds of things, but I think in some capacity teaching, I think that's really. And then I hear too from like the groups that come with you at City Team and stuff like that. You know, people just love you too and stuff. And I think those are, leading, and those are all kind of leading things. I wish I could have recorded you when you taught because I would rather have you teach those instead of me.
All right.
Maybe we'll have you come back and do some of those and feed you something. I don't know. Ice cream.
That's right.
Ice cream, that's cool.
Citizen currency is food.
Yeah,
That still works. All right. Number 7. What is your hope or prayer for me in this season?
in this season, I was a little bit tripped up by that. In this season, like.
Well, in this season, I'm finishing up. This is my last year of seminary, and so maybe that's what she's speaking of more specifically is that aspect of this season is.
I joked that our hope and prayer was answered because we'd love to see you get more experience in urban ministry from a different angle and get that job at City Team. And you did! So I was like, oh, cool. So in retrospect, that was good.
Yeah.
I think that was really cool. And something we prayed for, and that was great. But I think that, yeah, that's something still to, I'm sure there's still a lot of room to grow and learn, and
Prayers have been
so
working.
many dynamics there. So
I still have favor there, so they haven't tried to kick me out yet. So yeah.
Eric's a strong extrovert.
Yes.
You guys are
So
a
yeah.
good team, it seems like.
Yeah, I love it. So your prayers were answered there.
So, yeah.
I'm praying at the end of kind of seminary stuff. Trying to think back. I think just staying in it, all the classes and things like that, just to, you're already doing ministry things and you have been for a while. And so to not just kind of finish it all up to get okay, I graduated, I'm done, got my degree. But just is there anything, just like what are those things still that you're learning in the next, at the end of this time? And just to still be able to take those on and apply those and learn those and whatever. Because it's such a sweet time. Like there's, I don't know, I feel like now, like I wish I could go back and like kind of take more classes, but I just cannot study the way I used to. Just like that.
Yeah.
Practice, but I think it's just that God would maybe like impress on you things that you need to know that right now you're like, I don't why this. But then you like certain things he's like, you need to learn this or you need to know this or you need to see this about yourself or whatever. And that you don't know why it is yet, but then later on be able to say, oh, I'm glad I paid attention to that. I'm glad I whatever. Like I mean some of my readings that I didn't do, like I'm glad I did this reading because like in 5 years from now you're like, oh wait.
Yeah, that's good.
I learned this back there, and now I have a resource to go back to, or something that's just kind of stuck in me from there. So.
I think something along the lines of slow. I'm trying to like put my thoughts together, not quite together, but I just think of how everybody graduates and they're just ready to, I don't know, they're kind of going crazy a little bit, and you're looking for almost a way to validate all the time spent and money spent in seminary. And so I think to be bold to try things that God puts before you, and but also to be slow in diving in with all this knowledge. I guess sometimes you could overuse the knowledge from seminary. I had someone tell me once, the first thing I have to learn after my youth ministry classes, if I was to youth ministry, was to forget my Greek. And so sometimes not that you forget it, it still helps you, but sometimes you have to kind of slow down to relate to people that maybe didn't have the same experiences. Maybe that's what I'm saying.
That's really good. What both of you said is really good. I will take notes when I rewatch this. No, yeah, that's beneficial. And then I know you said you were confused a little bit about that question. So what did you think it meant, that hope and prayer?
I don't know. I just circled up like, I don't have an answer for this season.
So without the
I'm
in the
just wondering
season
if it was
part,
like,
then.
well, I was wondering if it was like back, like before when we were working together, what was my hope and prayer for you then?
Oh, yeah.
Or what is my, I just didn't know.
Just answer them both.
So what is your hope and prayer for me now then? And then you told me
In
what
your
your
life.
prayer
My
is.
hope and prayer for you in your life. Ooh, that's, my hope and prayer for you in your life.
The Book of
I
Ashley.
think that, kind of like touching on like how you said community, of just like being refreshed by other ministers around you that have similar jobs or something like that. I think my hope and prayer for you is that you would be doing ministry with people, and I don't know all of what it's like at City Team and stuff, but I just think like when you were with us, even on our team, like I'm always like learning from you, and like just about life things and racial justice things and prayer things and just just relationship things. I just feel like, so I really like that. And so my hope and prayer would be that you would be able to do things together. Like I just think about too, like Micah, how she would like just forget things all the time, and you would just pick up the slack in that, and like because of you, she could do better ministry because you would take care of the things that she didn't take care of, and how then she would also be just bold to like, both of you were bold in different ways too, but she's like, you were bold in like, I'm doing this and you just do it, and like, doesn't make sense, but I'm just doing this. This is what I'm doing. I decided and I'm doing it. And so I think there's a boldness in that, but then she has this boldness of just the blah, 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 and so, I think for it to be not just you on your own doing cool things, and I think you could do like you're very capable, you can do lots of things on your own, but I think other people learn so much when they're with you, and what all that looks like, I don't know, but I think with people is my
community. That community thing, yeah, it keeps coming up, so that's clearly what God is like getting from this, is that
body of Christ, like,
yeah,
so much more complete with others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense though. And it's definitely something that I do need to take into account. Because you guys aren't the only ones that have said it.
Oh.
Yes. So yeah, it's definitely important. Now I just need to look at how I need to do that. Yes.
Yeah.
How.
Yeah. And like, then if there's a couple of us saying that, and that's also like, obviously God is saying stuff, and then for you just to be able to reflect on like, how do you want to do that, God? Not for, because we're in this whole thing with like our new boss of like figuring out like what's the transition supposed to look like. And over the weekend I realized God already has a plan. Like I don't need to like figure out and do it the best. But then I also realized it's how God is. So like he has a plan, and then he'll show it to you, and then you pray for it, and then he does it, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
God gave me what I asked for, and he's like, right.
Yeah, I did.
I got you to ask me what I wanted you to or whatever. So anyways.
That's good.
So I think he has plans for like how to make that happen too.
Yeah, I think it will show itself in a cool way, because I think that you might have to say, I need you, but really, they also really need you. I think that's what you're going to find. That'll be beautiful. You'll cry.
I'm excited. I can't wait. All right. And then the last question is there anything that I did not ask you that you want to share? I think you guys did a really good job. Anything that you guys can think of?
No, just something. Well, yes, I guess. The thing that comes to mind, I think, with you is that like perseverance or kind of long suffering. You just keep going, and I think do that with the strength the Lord gives you, and just be consistent and persevere. And I think God really blesses that.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
I think you didn't ask anything about, it's not anything you didn't ask, but just something I just appreciate about you is just how, in that year with us, how you just really just came into our family stuff of like, okay, like coming and watching our kids and hanging out with them and just being a part of our life, and just how, like I just said earlier tonight, like I just feel like it was just such a, I felt like I was crazy at that time with just like really little kids. Our kids were 1.5, and 3, 4. I don't know. But they were just little, and I felt like I was like always kind of crazy. And like now, like having like a year since then, I'm like, oh, I feel so much more normal, like myself now. But just like you were with us in the crazy, and I just feel like there's hard parts of that and stuff like that. But just thank you for being with us in that. If we didn't have the 3 of you for that year, I don't know that we would have survived, or like how, maybe we would have God have like brought us something else because God is big, but it was you, and so thank you for just being in that with us. It was.
Thank you. I guess I never realized how
I feel like
how much you guys had on your plate during that time.
I just because even like now, like with like them going to bed tonight, it used to take us so long to like stay in your bed.
I remember.
They
We would
out. It's crazy.
come home and Ashley was putting him to bed, and she's still up there on the stairs next to their door.
It was like
Don't come out of your room.
I think both of them didn't, like back then, like neither of them could like really listen. Like now Stephanie can like follow,
Yeah.
And so it's so much easier because I've got one that like put on your clothes, and she can put on her clothes every time. Once in a while she's too tired too, but it's like for the most part, so there's just like they just anyway. So it's a different season. I liked that one, but I feel like this is much more like I don't know. I feel so much more normal than
this is a good season.
Which I know the others will be hard too. It's always hard and good, my mom said.
All right. Well, thank you guys for doing this interview with me. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad you guys were able to help me, and I'm glad that in that season I was able to help you guys as well. So yeah, you guys helped me do a lot of growing then, so I really do appreciate that. All right. Wouldn't it be crazy if I wasn't recording this whole time?